Shalom.
Yeah, so it takes time when you're doing something. So this journey that we're all walking on, this path, if one can call it, is one and where it's being treaded by us, right? And we're all walking together, and we don't have, we have a leader, which is the creator of the heavens and the earth, and he's a shepherd to us. As I read to you in Ezekiel 34, he says, I don't like the job that my shepherds were doing because they didn't care about the sheep, and so they got scattered all over the place, and so now I'm gathering all my sheep to myself, and those who I call, and they're responding and they're answering, and they're wounded and they're broken and they're all these different things. And so right now we're on this journey, we're walking on this journey. And again, sometimes it gets a little lonely because we miss the people that we used to be around, we miss the relationships, we miss the getting together, and our thought processes have changed, so now we don't really vibe with them. So these are things that are happening, but the road that you and I are traveling is the one of righteousness. That's the road that we're on. We're like cattle, and when cattle, from my studies, and some of you may know more than I do, but when cattle is taking a certain route and they do this route over and over again, the weight of their bodies and their hoofs are leaving marks inside of the road, and they're treading. So you can see that it's traveled. You'll know where they've been. And so this direction of righteousness and this area of righteousness for us and this road that we're on, is one that's being directed by the Creator, right? And he smooths our ways out for us so we'll know where to go, right? But I was telling Forrest the other day that, we were like, well, what about reaching out to people? How's that supposed to work? Well, we can't leave the path to go to another path to go find anybody. We're wounded, we're blind, we're lame, we're all those things. And we have to see ourselves as that. And we have to put ourselves under the care of the shepherd, which is the Creator. He's the one who's leading us. Okay. So with that being said, I want to lead you into some understanding about the Torah portion that we read this week, which was dealing with, they call Bahar, meaning on the mountain. The Creator spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai, and he told him a lot of different things, but one thing in particular that he talked to him about was about redemption. And he talked about the process of being released from your slavery. He talked about the process. There are procedures on how things are supposed to be done. Even with the land, he says that you plant for 6 years, and the seventh year you don't harvest, and you don't go pruning your vines. You just let the land rest. And so these are my Shabbats that are attached to the land, not only to people, but is attached to the land. And there's different procedures on how to release things to give it back to the person it belongs to. But one of the things that it really stuck out with me when I reread the Torah this morning, because I read it every day, the day that we're supposed to, but also too, I was like, you know what, I want to read, it again, just to kind of familiarize myself with it, because every day you go through it, but to go back and say, well, let me review the whole thing again, I think it's important, because then you could get a little bit more out of it because you're putting all the pieces together. So one of the things that well, it's not one, several things. One thing I want to let you know, and I want to show it to you. I want to show you what the Creator says about the people of Israel. Okay. This is what he says to the people of Israel. He says, here you go. It's in the book of Vayikra, which they call Leviticus, and it's going to be in chapter number 25. Okay. This is about Yovel. This is about a time of release. This is about, everything being returned. Okay. But there's something very interesting in verse number 42 that I wanted to share with all of us. Okay. 42 says this. It says, well, let's start here. Let's start in 39. It says, if a member of your people has become poor among you and sells himself to you, you do not make him do the work of a slave. Okay. Rather, you are to treat him like an employee or a tenant. He will work for you until the year of Yovel. Okay, Yovel means the 50th year. This is a time in which everything is released. Slaves are released. People that have been in servitude are released. Lands that have been sold will be released and given back to its rightful owners. Okay, and he says, then he will leave you. Talking about this Israelite. Okay, he will leave you, and he and his children with him. Okay, because Yovel means to leave. It means to be released. Okay, and actually, the word Yovel right here is called. It's a long. It means to be long, like a ram's horn. That's why they blow the shofar, and they call it to sound the shofar like a long blast, because it has to do with a long period of time, and that period of time is 50 years. Okay, so every 50 years, people are supposed to be released. Lands are supposed to be released every 50 years. Okay, um, you are to release them and let them return to his own family. Okay, and regain possession of his ancestral land. Okay. Verse number 42, for they are my slaves. And here, slaves, again, is the word aved. I'll put it in English for us right quick. It's an E-V-E-D, aved, okay? And aved is a servant. It comes from the Hebrew word of avad, meaning to serve. So a servant and a slave in Hebrew is exactly the same thing, okay? So they have the word slave, but a slave and a servant is exactly the same thing, okay? Whom I brought out of the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, okay? Therefore, they are not to be sold as slaves, okay? They're not to be sold as slaves. No Hebrew person is to be sold as a slave, because they're Yah slaves. They're Yah's servants, okay? Now, I wanted to share that with you, but I also want to share something else with you. Out of the Torah portion this week, I found several things that Yah said that I wanted to get us to understand. The thing is not only about redemption, but it's about how we treat people. This is what Yah's concerned with. Yah is concerned with how we treat people, okay? He doesn't want anyone to be treated harshly, okay? And the reason why he uses this word here about fearing, he says, but fear Elohim, your Elohim. Why is he saying don't treat him harshly, but fear Elohim? Does anyone take a shot at it?
Well, then you'll be honest. Because for me, as a business owner, or even people that work for me, I treat them fairly and I pay them daily, because that's what the Torah says, not to pay weekly or monthly, but pay for what their day's work is. And so I try to follow that, but I do it because I fear Yahweh, and not like scary fear, but out of respect and love.
Yes, because in order to fear, when Yah asks us to fear him, he said, look, he's not saying treat people harshly and be scared of Elohim. That's a Western mindset. Fear here means to be pointed in the right direction, okay? It means it comes from the Hebrew word yareh, okay? And yareh means to point, okay? Okay? It actually has to do with learning. It has to do with teaching. It has to do with that, right? So when we talk about, like what you just said, Yah wants us to treat people fairly because he's fair. Yah is not treating human beings harshly. Yah does not hate human beings. Okay, so
but also if he says fear your Elohim, isn't he also saying that because there will be consequences if you do treat a slave harshly?
Well, yeah, of course, but what he's saying is, but see, fearing Yah and consequences are two different things. They're two completely different things. Okay, remember we started off this discussion talking about we're being led by the Creator, right? He's trying to teach us on how to live, right? That's what this is about. And of course, we know that there's consequences for bad behavior. We know that he told the wicked that, hey, why don't you just turn your ways? You know, turn from your ways so you don't have to die. Why would you die? Why do you want to die? That's what he asked them all the time. Why are you want to die? Right? Because what I've set in place, well, you'll be dead. You know, you're going to die because you decided not to choose that which is good. That's the only reason why we die, is because we chose it. Like in the garden, it happened because we chose it. Yah's advice to us, his counsel to us, is for us to learn what he says in order for us to live. That's why Moshe said, hey, I said two ways before you. I said life before you, and I said death before you. Which one do you want? You got to choose. This is about a choice. So
Yes, yes, but wouldn't you say that when the African slaves were brought to America, they were treated harshly because the people were evil to treat them that harshly, and they didn't fear anybody's consequences because they did it anyway.
Yeah, but see, that's true. But there's also the other side. Remember, there's always those who did have slaves who didn't treat them harshly, right? So we can't condemn one group of people and say, well, hey, all of them, right? Because
I think a lot of them
well, a majority, a majority of slave owners, because, and the question is then is, why did they treat the African American slaves the way that they treated them? Why?
They're evil.
Right, they're brutal, but why? I mean, if you look,
evil.
Yeah, they're evil, they're wicked, but why? Why are they wicked?
Because they didn't fear Yah's. Because they felt that there was no one over them to stop them. They did not fear the Elohim.
Yes. So because of the inability to follow what the Creator says, okay, because if you think about this on both sides, Israel has treated their people exactly the same way. That's why he sent them here. It's because what did Israel do? They ate their own children. What did Israel do? They burned their own children. What did Israel do? They sold their own people. They kidnapped each other. They raped one another. They slept with each other's wives, right? So when we look at it and say, well, we've been victimized by others, right? We got to look, and Yah says, well, the reason why I've allowed you to be victimized is because that's what you guys were doing. Remember, it's always going to be measure for measure. Israel's not here in the lands or all over the four corners of the earth because they were righteous. Because they were wicked. Israel is wicked. Okay. We have behaved wickedly, right? And so he says, you know, for us, and especially people who have received the Torah. Now, our ancestors are the ones who received this information, and they decided that they made a choice and said, we don't want to do what you want us to do. But the topic here is about learning how to fear Yahweh by not treating people harshly. That's the deal. Do not treat anybody harshly, because if you treat them harshly, that means that you don't fear Yah. That's what it's saying. Okay. It says concerning the men and the women that you have as slaves, when you buy them slaves, men slaves and women slaves from the nations surrounding you. So they were able to have slaves. Okay. Servants, people that serve them. You may also buy the children of foreigners living with you and members of their families born in your land. You may own these. Okay. You may also bequeath them, okay, as in like an inheritance to them, bequeath them to your children to own. From these groups, you may take your slaves forever. So is the idea of slavery or servitude, according to the Torah, is that a wicked thing? No, it's the individuals that do have these people and how they treat them. When we go back to the land and Yah gives us the Torah and we live by it, this is going to be part of the Torah. This is always going to be part of the Torah. So what's the point? He's saying, listen, do not treat anybody harshly, especially your brother. He says, but as far as your brothers, the people of Israel are concerned, you are not to treat each other harshly. The reason why he doesn't want us to treat Israel, or anybody else for that matter, harshly is because Israel is Yah's slaves. If a foreigner living with you has grown rich, right? So foreigners are living among the people of Israel, and the member of your people has become poor and sells himself to the foreigner living with you, or a member of your foreigner's family, you may be redeemed. He may be redeemed after he has been sold. One of his brothers may redeem him. His uncle's son may redeem him, or a relative near him may redeem him. Or if he becomes rich, he may redeem himself. Okay. He will calculate, talking about the calculation of years that have to do with Yovel. He says he will calculate, meaning what? If I sold myself, so I got, 5 years left into Yovel, then I'll pay you the 5 years left. I have to give it to you, right? That's redemption. So with the person who bought him, so he has to calculate with the person who bought him at the time from the year that he was sold himself, he sold himself to the year of Yovel. Okay. So he will calculate with the person who bought him the time from the year he sold himself to him to the year of Yovel. And the amount to be paid will be according to the number of years and his time at an employee's wages. Okay. So this has to do with time, and has to do with wages, and has to do with how you treat people. If many years remain according to them, he will refund the amount, talking about money, okay, for his redemption. Like, you want a refund. You got so much time left, so much value left. The amount, money he was bought for. If there remain only a few years until Yovel, into the 50th year, then he will calculate with him according to the years, and he will he refund the amount for his redemption. Redemption costs money. Okay. 53. He will be like a worker hired year by year. Wages. You will see to it that he is not treated harshly. This is the second time he said it. If he has not been redeemed by any of these procedures, nevertheless, he will go free in the year of Yovel. So Yovel has to do with freedom. He and his children with him. Okay. And here's the kicker. For to me, the people of Israel are slaves. They are my slaves, whom I brought out of the land of Mizraim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. This is what he told to Moshe to tell to the children of Israel. Yah's people, Israel, are slaves. They're servants that Yah went and redeemed. And how did he redeem them? Somebody tell me, how did he redeem Israel? By what method was paid for them in Mizraim? How did he pay for us? If we're his slaves, how did he buy us? Think about it. Pesach, what did he do?
Release them. He made the Israel serve Mizraim for 400 years. So they work for free.
Yeah, he said
Pharaoh the firstborn.
Yeah, he killed the firstborn of Mizraim to redeem the sons of Israel. The firstborn, it did. So the redemption of Israel has already happened. So when they talk about this Christianity, that someone's coming to redeem you and is redeemed by his blood, is not true. And they said, well, they've been redeemed by the blood of bulls and goats. No, we haven't. We haven't been redeemed by the blood of bulls and goats. We were redeemed by the blood of bulls and goats, redeemed the bulls and bloods of bulls and goats. The people redeemed. We're redeemed by the blood of people. Okay. So I'm going to show it to you. So we could be clear about what we are and who we are. Okay. So when you look at the book of Isaiah, chapter number 43, you may want to write this down. Okay. But now, this is what Yahweh says. He who created you, Yaakov, he who formed you, Israel. Question before we go any further. He uses two names here, right? We know that Yaakov's name was Yaakov and Yah changed it to Israel, correct? Yes. Yaakov, is Yaakov one man or is he 12?
He's one man.
He's one man. And Yah says, out of you, I'm going to change your name to Israel. And the nation of Israel's name is 12 tribes. Okay. So Israel here, in a sense, is not only singular, but is plural. So you can see how Yah uses the singular and the plural at the same time. I'm the one who created you. And I'm the one who formed you. Okay. I formed you. So creating and form, really? I thought creating is just one way, right? Let's look at it. And we'll get into our Hebrew. Let's investigate it and find out what he's really saying. I think he's saying more than what we're hearing right there. It says this. And now, which is true, Wa'ata Ko Amar, he speaks Yahweh, Badra'aka, I created you, Yaakov, and I Yotzeraka, okay, which remember we have Yotzer, I formed you, okay. But I want you to see something special, okay. I want you to tell me, because in the English it says, I created you, ED, and this one says, I formed you, ED, okay. So if I say created, I got to ask you a question. Is this already done? Is it past, present, or future?
Past.
Past. Thank you. The ED says that it's past, correct? P-A-S-T. Forgive my writing. I'm using my finger. It's a past tense. What I want to show you right quick is that it's not past tense. You guys see what I just underline? I'm going to underline it in pink so you can see it. This is an abbreviation for a verb called a participle, okay? And what a participle is, okay, is something that is happening as we speak, okay? It's continuing. So when they say created right here, that is a mistranslation. Okay, it's a mistranslation. What should it say?
Forming and creating.
Yes, Forrest, thank you. So when Yah says, I'm forming you, I'm creating you, Yaakov, and I'm forming you, Yisrael. So is he done? Is he done? No. He's not done. That's the reason why he says that, can a woman give birth in one day? Can a nation be born in one day? Israel's not fully born yet. From Yahweh's perspective, Israel's not done. Israel is going through a process. That's what those little dots over here in Hebrew, you can remember it. You don't have to be a grammar expert. Just remember, any little circles like this on the top of a word is a participle. Excuse me, that's Yaakov. Anything on a verb, that's a noun. Anything on a verb, like a dot right there, the little dot right here they got right here, that is a participle. That means it's present tense, happening. So he's not done. So when he tries to say he created you, he created, it's not ED, it's ING. Go look it up, participle. It's ing. It's not, it hasn't happened yet. It's in the process. Okay. So, and he's actively doing it. So when you look at the English, they're not being honest. They're thinking you that is past tense. Okay. And he says, not, I don't want you to fear. Right? Have no fear. You see that? You see right here, it says all, meaning not what? Tira, don't have any fear. And we're reading from this direction. Tira ki, ga'altika, I have redeemed you. Really? Yes. Because look, it's perfect. It's done. Okay. It's done. This is true. I've redeemed you. When he redeemed us, we became his what? His slave. Okay. And he says, I called you. I have called you. Karati. Remember in Hebrew, I've been telling you that if you got a letter on the front of the word, it means on a verb. If I put a letter right here, it means that it will be done. It's in a future tense. If it's on the end, like this, it's past tense, meaning it's complete. So the 3-letter root right here in all Hebrew words is kara, 3 letters. And that means like wayikra, meaning kara, meaning to call. I have proclaimed, okay, you by your name, by Yeshimka, right here. By Shimka, by your name, okay? Name is shame. Ba is this bet, and ka is you. Okay. So I've done that. I've already called you. You are what? I've called you to me. Lee. To me, you are. I've called you. You're mine. Okay. I'm forming you and I'm creating you, and you're my slave. Okay. But you're mine. Verse 2. When you pass through the waters, with you, I, Ani, will be with you through the waters. Through the rivers, they won't overflow you. Okay. When you walk through the fire, not shall you be burned. What is he saying? He's saying, Itaka ani. Itaka, I am with you. See, it doesn't matter where Israel's going through. It doesn't matter what you're going through in your life. I'm not trying to spiritualize this. I'm just trying to tell you that Yah says, I'm with you. Okay. Whenever you go through waters, I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay. I'm with you when you go through the fire. I'm going to be with you. Okay. I was with you when you went through the waters. When you passed through the rivers, I was with you. When you went through the Red Sea, I was with you. When the 3 Hebrew boys were in the fire, I was with you. I've been with you. Not shall you be burned. You're not going to be burned. You won't be burned. And the flame won't scorch you. Why is he mentioning that? Is it just for the Hebrew boys, or is he telling us when I bring fire upon the earth, you are not going to be burned? Why? The ki ani. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. I'm your Eloheka. I'm your Eloheka. Second person masculine singular. Your individual singular. You have to choose Yah. It's not Eloheinu, which is our Elohim. He says, Ki ani Yahweh Eloheka. I am your Elohim. So when you see this ka, it's talking to the second person. See, there's a first person, there's a second person, there's a third person. The first person is I, or we, okay? And the second person is you. It could be singular or it could be plural. And the third person is him or her or it, okay? When someone's not there and you're talking about them, you can mention him, or you can mention her, or you can mention it, okay? Third person, okay? But this is not third person. It's second person. And it's singular. That's what that MS is, masculine singular. So he's talking to the individual, to you, who want him to be your Elohim, because you have a choice. You could choose Yah, or you don't have to choose him. Everyone online here chose the Holy One of Israel. They chose the Kadosh, the ACHI'KA, Kadosh. Whether you're Israel or a stranger, you could choose Yah. Okay. The Israel, he's the Israel's what? I'm Israel's, the Holy One of Israel's, your Savior. And how do you say Savior? They got a capital S right there. Well, we know in Hebrew, there is no capitals. Okay. So they're putting extra on it because they want you and I to be like, oh, this is the Christ of the New Testament. It's called Christology. So the people that wrote this software to have this Bible, they are under some different rules that tell them that when they come to this word Mashiach, okay, Moshiach, okay, because this is called a Moshiach, okay, like a Messiah, Moshiach. This is a Moshiach, okay. So Moshiach. And you see the ka again, that ka is yours in its second person masculine singular. You have to choose. I took you out of Mitzrayim. You have to make a choice about whether or not I'm your savior. Everyone that came out of Mitzrayim did not believe that Yah brought them out. And what's the proof and the evidence of that? Is proven by the fact that they built a golden calf and said, these are the gods that brought us out of Mitzrayim. They have to make a choice. Yah knows that Israel individually will have to make a choice about who their savior is. That's why he always says, I'm the one who brought you out of Mitzrayim. I'm your Moshiach, Israel's Moshiach. Okay. Now here's the crazy part. They said your savior, right? I want to show you something, right? They said your savior. As this is as a noun, person, place, or thing, right? A noun. It's not a noun. It's not a noun. It's a verb. It's a hitfael, and it is what? A participle. Okay. So let's talk about what a verb is, because that's what Hebrew is. A verb is an action. Okay. It's an action. A noun is different. So how could you capitalize a verb? When you put a capital, what were we were taught in grade school about when you're supposed to use a capital? You guys remember? They said, huh?
Nouns.
You use capital for nouns, and you use it for either cities or states, or you use it for names. You use it for titles. You use it to bring emphasis to it. So if it's capitalized, that gives you, it directs your attention to the word, to let you know that it's a noun. What verb have you ever seen in the English language that is capitalized?
None.
Not one verb is capitalized in the English language. So why are they capitalizing this word right here?
To mislead you.
Thank you. So you can see, if you don't know the language and you don't understand the principles of vocabulary and grammar, that's how they get you. This is not just a religious move and trying to blind you. They have to use the medium in which they know that we operate underneath. If you want to confuse someone, the first thing you do is you change their language and their understanding of words. So that's why they make it mandatory for you to go to elementary, preschool, and then you go to kindergarten, and you go to elementary, then you go to middle school, then you go to high school, then you go to college, and then you get your doctorates. And the whole time, they have these rules of grammar that tell you that a capital represents a noun, and it gives great emphasis and draws your attention to it. But here you see that they're using a capital and calling it a name, when here Yah says it is an action. This little word here called hifel, okay, let me show you what that means. I don't have to take you through a series 7 and tell you, well, let me just show you, all at one time. I don't have to do that. I think that's the wrong way of learning. I think when you're on something and it means something to you, you should stay right there. Okay. So this idea of this verb, there's 7 different verb stems. And what do I mean by a stem? Okay. What I mean is that you got a ground. Let me change the color. You have a ground, dirt, right? And then out of the dirt, okay, let me make it dirt. You got your dirt, you got your soil, right? Out of your soil is going to grow a tree. Okay. And beneath the surface, you're going to have roots. Okay. The roots are going to grow in. You guys get the idea. Okay. And then when this tree comes up, this is called the stem. Okay. One main stem, one stalk going all the way up. And then out of there comes the branches. Okay. Right. It just comes out. Forgive my drawing. I'm just trying to make you guys know what a tree looks like. Okay. It has all these different branches. All right. Out of that one stem. Okay. So every branch is different. They're not all the same. They're not all the same. They're similar, but they're different. Okay. So in the Hebrew language, they have 7 different stems that comes out of one stem, out of this one stem. Okay. This one stem right here is called a call stem. Q-A-L. Okay. It's called a call. And the call stem means that it's a very vanilla, very simple way of doing things. Just I eat, I drink, I sleep, I walk, I think, I just everything basic. Okay. Very basic things that you do. Okay. The other stems are different. This branch that comes out of that same basic thing is still the same action, but this one here, this stem right here might say, well, I eat, but I'm eating in a certain type of way. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to devour. I'm going to devour the food. Instead of just eating it, I'm going to devour the food. That's different. You're still eating, but it's the method and how you eating. Okay. So that in particular stem would be called a payel. Okay. Payel. That's the name that they gave it in Hebrew. Okay. Don't worry if you forget it. Don't worry about it. This stem, I don't want to go over all 7. I just want to talk about this one. Okay. This one is called a hifel. Okay. And there's all kind of little rules to go with the hifel, but I ain't gonna talk about them. I just want to tell you how this verb functions. Okay. Let's make this one over here, the hifel. Okay. A hifel is causative. Okay. It's like you're causing someone, it's an action. Okay. You're causing someone to do the eating, right? You're causing someone to eat. That means you're what? If I'm causing you to eat something, what am I doing to you? If I put some food in front of you, what am I doing? I'm feeding you. Okay? I'm causing you to eat by providing food for you. Right? So one is you can eat, which is a call stem. You can devour, which is a very forceful action, right? Devour is not a call stem, a devour is a PL, okay? You can devour the food, or someone else can cause you to eat the food, okay? I can cause you to eat it, I can feed you. That's a different action, you see? And so either I can cause you to eat it, or I can cause myself to eat it. So one is called an active and the other one's passive. What's my point? My point is to tell you that in the Hebrew language, they're not just, oh, it's an action and then that's it. It's just one action. It's all the same. There's 7 different ways a verb can be performed. This one is causing. It's causative. It's called causative. Okay, causative. And you're going to get this, and there's no way around it. So don't be afraid of it like I was. It took me some time to get this. It's causative, meaning Yah says, and here it is, participle. So is it causative? He's saying, I'm causing your salvation. You see that O right here? That's the ing, the participle. I'm causing you to be saved. Israel is not saved. Israel's being formed. Israel's being created. Israel is Yah's causing the salvation of Israel. Israel is not saved.
Like that weird.
Yes.
When you said Yah is causing, is it safe to say like he's causing Israel to be like protected and saved and guarded?
Well, right now he says, I'm going against you, right? So when he talks about causing, he's making things happen. I'm moving things around. I'm moving nations around. I'm moving religions around. I'm moving people around. I'm moving circumstances around. I'm putting different things in different places so I can set the stage for my appearing. You see, so the word Mashiach, what they have there, Moshiaka, is from the word Yasha, meaning to save, to deliver. It's a primitive root, means Yasha, and this is where they come up with Yahushua, right? That's where they say his name is Yasha, right? Like Yasha Yahu means to deliver. So the question is have we been delivered? The answer is no. So they say he delivered us from our sins. Well, that's not true, because Yah says you're unclean, you're profaning my name where you're living. So they're using the root verb. If you notice, I just took you, and I'll go back. They're using the word Mashiach, Mashiachka, okay? But it doesn't say Mashiachka, it says Yasha. This is the word right here. Now you don't see that in there. You don't like, well, where's that at? I see the yod, but it's not here. It's because in Hebrew, when you add, or when you get into a different verb tense, they'll change some of the letters or drop some of the letters off. So what we do see is we see the shin and we see the ayin. The yod over here is simply because of the form of verb is being used. So I'm not trying to make this confusing, but I'm letting you know that the action of Yah is one that is taking place right now. A participle is a present tense actively happening. So there's what you call that which is in the future, okay? And you got that which is in the past, okay? And you got that which is in between, in the present, okay? So in Hebrew, if the letter is in the front of the word, it's in the future tense. If a letter is in certain letters in the middle of the word, like this O right here, mo, that would be the present tense. If the letter's at the end right here, like this T right here, this end, that's in the past because it's perfect. I gave, okay? So, but when you read in English, they're changing now, they're changing verbs into nouns. They're changing, they're adding capitalization. They're changing tenses of the verb. So you won't know. So your mind would think, oh, he's already saved us. He's done. And now we got a savior on the way. It says it right there in the New Testament. Right here, he says, I'm the Holy One of Israel. I'm your savior. No, I am saving you, just like I'm creating you. So the participle, when I read, and this is what is important for us to understand. When you start reading the text, okay, listen to me very carefully. I really want you to stop reading English, okay? And you say, well, I don't know how to read Hebrew. Yes, you do, okay? If you want to learn how to cheat, which I did when I first learned this, go right here and read it for yourself. And it'll tell you exactly how many syllables and everything. So where's the mo at? Oh, the mo must be the M and the O right here. Mo. That looks like an O. So that's mo. Okay, where's the woe? Oh, that's that right there. It must be this. Oh, okay. Then where's the other dot? Don't worry about it. Where's the shin? Where's the she? Oh, that's that shin. Oh, ika. Oh, okay, right here. That's that ayin. Oh, where's the ka? Oh, that's the in. Moshiaka. So you can say the word right here. Mo, wo, shiaka. Mo shiaka. Mo shiaka. Okay? Yis, ra, el. Ka, do, sh. Okay, that W is silent, right? So you see, right? You see that this wall, this wah right here is this. It's that tent peg. It's that wah. Okay, it's not a vet. It's not a vav. It's a wah. Okay, so you can see what's going on here. I want you to start understanding what these things mean. If you don't understand, you're going to be reading it and your mind is going to take you somewhere else. It'll change your thought process and you'll be thinking you're saved and you're not. In the Hebrew scriptures, go to Bible Hub, and what I do, which I'm going to teach you, is you start looking for the verbs. So when we looked at verse number 1, what did we find? What did we find? You guys are smart enough for this. We found a participle that has to do with creating. So I go, okay, there's one participle. So something's not done yet. It's in the present tense. Then I found another participle. They said it's done. It's not formed. I'm forming. Okay. So then we went from there. And now, so I'll go down and like, okay, well, let's look for some other participles. Okay. I don't see any there. Okay. I don't see any there. Okay. We're in verse number 2. Any participles? Oh, no. Nope. They're not on the first line. How about in the second line? Do I see any participles? Oh, nope. Imperfect. Oh, now on the negative particle. Imperfect. Okay. No, I don't see it. How about verse number 3? Okay. Yahweh, the Elohim proper. Oh, Hiphael participle. Oh, so the participles go together. So salvation is connected to what? Creating and forming. The other participles, you see? So he's not introducing you to just one participle. He's telling you how they're all connected. So creating is one participle, forgive my writing, and the other one was what? Forming. And he says, I'm saving. So what is he doing right now? If we take the participles of forming and creating, what is he doing? He's forming and creating what? The salvation. I'm forming and creating this. I'm doing this right now. I'm not done with you. I'm not finished with you. You guys see what I'm saying from the perspective of the language? I am not done with you. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of other scripture. You know, he says, I've created a new heavens and a new earth. It's creating. It's not I've created. I'm creating. Do you know every time a child is born or a plant comes out of the earth, Yah has recreated again? I'm creating. Do you know every time there's a brand new day, right? We think, oh, it's just a day. Yah has creating another day. No day is alike. That's how, when he renews the earth, he renews it through the process of life and death. That's his way. If he wants to create a whole nother herd, he can through the birth of other animals. If he wants to create a whole nother people, he could create it through the birth of people. If he wants to create a whole nother environment, he'll have volcanoes and he'll have earthquakes and he'll do storms, he'll move things. He's always doing something. You see? And on the Shabbat, he rests. It's a continual cycle. The earth just not says, well, here it is, and that's it, and it's done, and it's over. No, it's continual. Just like your work continues during the week and you stop, that's what it is. Okay. So Yah says, I gave a ransom. I'm saving you. I gave Nathati. Okay. I gave a ransom. I paid. This word right here, ransom, you see, there's 3 letters here. A ket, a pay, and a resh. And it's called kafar. Okay. Okay. And we hear this word kafar when we talk about Kippurim or the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. And the ka on the end, of course, means you, second person. Okay. So kafarka, right? Kafraka, or okay, depending on how you pronunciate it. So is it a noun? Yes. I gave a ransom, a noun. Okay. I gave a payment. What's the payment? Let's figure out. What's the payment? What payment did he give? Here it is. I gave a kofar. That's the root. A kofar. Okay. And then you see it can be used when they add different endings to it. When they put a ka on the end, it changes the way that it's spoken, but it's still the same root. It's a kaf, a pei, and a resh. Kofar or kafar, doesn't matter. The price of life. I gave a ransom. I gave a life. I took a life for yours. So when the Christians come and say, oh, well, you know, he gave his life for us, you could tell them easily right here. Remember, just I told you it came from this. It means to cover, from like the Day of Atonement. Okay, it's redemption. Kafar. Kafar. But it said kofar up there. Well, it depends on where it came from. So in the Hebrew, it's called kafar. And kafar has to do with the cover, like the Day of Atonement. Okay. It's a redemption price. Okay. It's a ransom. It's money. Okay. Like our Torah portion, he said, I'm going to redeem you, right? Look what kafar comes from. So you just, when you go to Bible Hub, you can look at this. Where's kafar? It means to what? It means to cover. Kafar means to cover. What was the name of the covering on top of the Ark of the Covenant? It was called what? It was a covering. It's a kafar. Okay, to make propitiation. That's why he told him to bring the blood in there and sprinkle it in front of the cover of the Ark of the Testimony. Okay, is to make a payment. Okay, like the Day of Atonement, to make propitiation, to make things right, to make an amends. Okay, and to cover right. So when he says that I did a kafar on you, or I kafar'd you, I kafar'd you. I gave a kafar. I gave a ransom. I gave a payment, a life. Right? I gave the life of the Ethiopians and the Seba in your place. I took the Cush and Ethiopia and the Usava in your place for you. That means for you, I gave for you in their place. He says, since you were precious in my sight, you're precious to me. May I share the kadrota? You are precious. You are precious in my eyes. Israel is precious in Yah's eyes. Does Yah have eyes? Does Yah have eyes?
Yes.
Yes, he does. If you would say, well, no, well, he's not a man. Do you have to be a man to have eyes? Think about what I just said. Do you have to be a man to have eyes? No. Animals have eyes. Insects have eyes. Birds have eyes. He's the maker of the eye. How did he make something that he's not aware of? You understand? So does Yah have a soul?
Spirit.
Yes. No, he has a nafshi. He has a soul.
Yes.
He has a soul because you and I came from him. When he breathed the breath of life into us, what he was doing was he was giving of himself to give us an opportunity to have this experience, to see everything he made. That's why he breathed into man, so he could become a living soul. Well, where did that living soul come from? Was it something outside the Yah made? It came from Yah himself. So when Yah breathes this breath of life into man, he's saying to man, human being, you have a responsibility to your creator. And I'm going to put something in front of you and ask you to obey what I said. And the man decided, him and his wife decided that they did not want to obey. Then he went to their son and said, hey, you're upset about what you gave to me because I'm not accepting what you gave to me. So this is what you need to do to change your behavior and change this, and then I'll accept you. Because if you do good, I'll accept you. He says, sin layeth at your door and wants to control you, but you can control it. So the idea that you can't control your behavior or your impulses or your desires is a complete lie. Yah has an expectation of humanity because he gave us his spirit, of his soul. He gave us a spirit, he gave us a soul, he made us a living being. And because of that, he wants us to execute justice on the earth. Don't you want to be part of that process? Yes. So in order for us to be part of that process, we have to adapt our lives to what he said. If we want to be pleasing to the one who created us, we will want to adopt his ways and adapt our lives. There's no other way around it. He says, you're precious in my sight, in my eyes, and you have been honored. I've honored you, Israel. I've honored you, Yaakov. I've honored you. Kavod, meaning the word for Hebrew is called kavod, okay? And kavod means, and I'll show it to you, okay? It means to be heavy or weighty, okay? It could also mean burdensome. So when it tells us to honor our mother and father, it's saying to kavod, meaning hold their words heavy in your hands. Don't let them fall from your hands. Don't treat them lightly. Don't treat it like it's frivolous, like it's trifling, like it's nothing. Don't be swift to just answer anything. You really need to think about what's been spoken to you, okay? In that sense, in terms of kavod of us, of glory of Yah, to be weighty. So when Yah says, I've held you, I've honored you, you've achieved honor in my sight, you have become glorious to me in my eyes. For why? I don't know. I don't know why Yah decided to make Israel honored in his eyes. Why would he choose a woman that he knew that was going to cheat on him? Why would he choose a woman that would give herself to any other Elohim? Why would he choose a nation that would serve other gods that he told Moshe that before they leave, I know what they're going to do? Why would he choose it? Why would he choose somebody that would kill their own kids and burn them up in the fire to Moloch? Why would he choose a people that would serve the gods of the heavens, of the sun and the moon and the stars? Why? Why would he choose a people that would have sex with animals? Why? Why would he choose a people who the women would give their bodies to the animals of the field? Why? The cult prostitutes and homosexuality in his temple and put altars in there. Why would he choose those people? Why are they precious in his sight? And I'll tell you why.
Because of his promise.
It's because
of his promise to our
it's,
forefathers.
yes, it's because of promise. But listen to what I'm telling you. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov did not do those things. Their children did it. But the reason why Israel is precious in his sight is because in verse number 1 and 2, he says that I'm creating you and I'm forming you. I'm not done with you. You have to be put in the fire. I have to cleanse you. When he says that you're precious in my sight, he's talking about the finished work of this people. It's the finished work. That's why he's creating. That's why he's forming. That's why he's saving. Because he sees the results of what he does. He says, how many times do I have to strike you? Where do I have to strike you next? Where? Why don't you listen to me? But he sees our end. He says, you've been honored. And I, what? We ani means I. Wa means and. Okay. Hebrew lesson. The wa is the tent peg. Is what holds the tent strings together. Okay. It's the tent peg. It's the peg that holds everything together. The ropes, the guide ropes. Okay. It's the tent peg. There's over 50,000 of these plus in the Hebrew text. Why? Because Yah decided to use this word, which is called a wa, to hold everything together. So all the words are being held together in conversation and phrases and ideas and concepts by this one letter. Agricultural term is a tent peg. That's why it's used, is to hold everything together. Okay. So he says, ani. Ani means I. So when you're talking to you and I, you say ani. 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 This aleph right here is silent. This that vowel that you see underneath it, that's a vowel point, is a ah sound. It's a real quick reduced ah. It's just ah, real quick. Ah, and then this letter right here is the N, which is gives you the n sound. And this yod right here, okay, represents this I sound, this little dot right here that you see underneath that. That dot is a I sound. I, like in it, okay, or sit it, or pit it. So the that's the sound for that one dot. When you see that dot, it's okay. So your first vowel, I know I'm going all over the place, but you need to know. The first one is ah. And I got a W in front of it, which is a what? A wah. There it is, wah. So you know that that wah right there is this symbol, wah. And the ah is this. But the aleph is silent, but you make that sound underneath it, okay? That's just a rule, okay? And then you got the N right here. That's the noon. And then and then the I sound, which is this dot right here represents this yod. So how do you say it? Wah ane. Wah ane. Wah ane. Wah ane. Wah ane. Okay? So wah ane. Have loved you. I have loved you. I ane. Wah ane. I've honored you. You've been honored, right? Perfectly, because I see you're in. And I have loved you perfectly. Perfect. Not I'm going to love you. It's not in a participle. Remember I told you the call? That is a very simple action. A call is a simple action. There's no forcefulness in it. There's no causative in it. God's not saying I need to cause myself to love you. He's saying that I simply love you. Okay, because a hav is what? A love. That's love. Okay, and the ta here is the I, which is Yah. That T right there is I, meaning I, the ni. And then the ka is what? You. That's the you right here. And it's in a second person masculine singular. So when Yah says that I love you, is he talking to a group of people, or is he talking to an individual who has decided to let him be their Elohim? Talk to me.
The one who had decided.
So when you, yes, when the one who's decided. So if this is the case, if he's talking to an individual, who should, when you read this, Ken, I just want you to read, and I have loved you. Read it. Say it.
And I have loved you.
Who is he talking to?
He's talking to the nation of Israel.
No, he's not.
Or
He's talking to Kent. You, individual. When you read this, he's not talking to the nation. He's talking to an individual that's part of the nation who chooses to be part of Israel. And I have loved you. When you read this, he's talking to you. If you choose, it's not a plural right here. It's not plural. It's not plural. It's not more than one. It's a singular, meaning individual. So when you read the text, you have to read it so you can understand it. And I have loved you. The reason why this is important, because if you read it, Abiyah, when you read this, you need to say, I'm the you that he's talking about. If you accept it, Stan, it would say, and I have loved you because you accept me. I'm not talking to a group of people. Okay? I'm talking to the ones who want to listen to me. That's who he's talking to. And because of this, because you are the individual that I have loved, singular, okay? Therefore, I, individual, first person common, I, first person common, I, who? Ani. I. That's here. I here is the one who's telling you that he loves you, is the one who will what? Attain. I will give. I will. You remember I told you, I said, if you put a letter on front of a verb, it becomes what? It becomes in an imperfect. He says, I will give, not I given, I will give. So we just read something, and when you read the text, you got to be careful. It says that I gave. Isn't that what he said up here? He said, I gave, nathati. Here's I gave, nathati. The Hebrew word, the verb right there is nathan. Very simple action, means to give. It's spelled like Nathan, N-A-T-H-A-N. Okay. You see the T on the end, the tav and the yod right here. That's the I. So nathati. Okay. But in Hebrew, they'll drop off a letter, which is a whole nother thing we got to get into. So you see I gave, which is nathati. The word is on the end, so it's perfect. Then when we go read what we just read, where I will give, right here, wa etain. Well, here's the where's the T at? It's not, it's gone, it's not there. I gave means nathati. Well, where's the noon at? It's the final noon is right here. Well, where's the other noon? Because I thought you said it was the N-A-T-H-A-N. It is, but in Hebrew, if you add a letter onto the front of a word to make it future tense, they drop one of the letters. And in this case, they dropped the noon. They dropped the noon off, and I can prove that to you. Let me show it to you. 54:14. What does it say? Nathan. So how did it go from Nathan to attain? I'll show it. I'll show it to you. How did it go from, how did it transpose into attain? How did it go? Why did they take this noon off? Because they couldn't add an aleph onto the front of it, because it'd have been ethane. Okay. So in Hebrew, they'll drop this letter off and they'll just put a letter on the front. And this letter, this I, this aleph means I. If it's a tav, it means you. If it's nothing in front of it, it'd be he. And if it's a female, it would be tav as well. Okay. Those are the letters that are prefixed to the front of a word. So that's first person. This is second person, and this one's second person. And then if it's he is a yod, that's third person. This is first person. This is second person. And this is third person. So when he said I will, and anytime you put a letter in front, like right here, it means that it will, is future tense. You see? If it was just Nathan, that means to give. It's just by itself. But if you say I will give, you just take that noon off and you put the aleph right there, and it'd be etain, meaning I. This right here means I. If I said that you will give, it would be a tav right there. I would take the aleph off and I put the tav, and it would be titain. And if I said he would give, it would take the noon off and put a yod right there to mean he gave. You see? So when you know those letters and you know their function and how they work, you'll be better apt to understand what's being said and who is it being said to, and what and when is it being said. Okay. So when he says right here that ahav, well, you said, well, that's an aleph too, right here in the word ahav. Well, the 3-letter root is ahav. That means love. And it's perfect. So when I looked at this, I was like, well, what's the 3-letter root? The 3-letter root is this. And then what is added? Oh, the tav is added. That means I, and then the ka is you. See? So once you know these letters and their function, you'll be able to put any root letter, any 3 letters, you can add something onto the front of it. You can add something onto the back of it. In this case, when it's on the back of it, it's perfect. When it's something added to the front of the word and a letter drops off, it's imperfect. See, so you got to know your vocabulary words. I know ahav starts with an aleph, so I know that, oh, that's not I love you, ACHI'KA. No. Ahav is the word. Because if you click on it, you want to verify it, then you just click on it and you go, oh, well, let's see. Is it ahav? Yes, it's an aleph. That's why you should go to Bible Hub so you can learn how to read Hebrew very quickly. Ahav, right here. That's the root. 3 letters, the root. And then so they took the root, they took this root and they said, oh, let's identify who's the one talking, and let's identify who the one's talking to. That means to love. Okay, it's a verb, right? So so we take ahav, right, and we go back. Let's look at ahav. Go back, and what do we have? There's the word ahav, but what did they add? They added a tav on the end. We know when something's added to the end, it makes it what? Perfect. And that tav on the end means what? The T on the end means I. That's what it means. They're not showing it right here because English, they're not going to do that. They're not breaking it down the way it's supposed to. It really says, love I you. That's what it should be. It shouldn't say have loved you. They're only putting that because it's English. It should say love I you. That's how it was supposed to be. And it's just different than what we know. You would say, and I have loved you. No, Yah is letting you know, wa'ani. Why would he mention the pronoun I before, and then he says here, I again? See, this is love I you. Love I you. Love I you. I'm the one loving you. And guess what? He's talking to the individual. He's talking to the individual. And therefore, I, which right here, you have this aleph right here is the I. And, see, they don't even have an and. They said therefore. It's not therefore. It's and I give. Okay? And I will, because it's future tense. I will give. What is he going to give to us? Let's see. So I've honored you. I'm going to give you. I will give men. I will give man, not men. That's plural. But they're putting it so you and I can kind of understand it. But remember, if they change the rules to the game, we're going to get confused. He says, I'll give Adam. I will give Adam. Okay. For you. Well, it says for you, but I know in Hebrew that the preposition right here is so takath tektika, right? Taktika, right? So here, they're saying this is a preposition. And then this right here is I, and this in here is you. So what does tektika mean, or taktika? If you click right quick, it'll show you what that is. Takath. They said it's a masculine noun. Okay. It means takath, it means underneath or below or instead of. Okay. So in this case, in order for it to fit the text, it would probably mean instead of. Okay. Because the below, that doesn't make sense, or underneath doesn't make sense. It means in place of, instead of. Okay. So that makes sense. Instead of. So what the word has to find its way, and it is a preposition. So nouns, as you can see, can be used as a preposition. It's letting you know, how does this relate? How does this man that I'm talking about relate to you? Okay. So I've given lives for you. I've given Adam for you, right? In place of instead of you. And I've given what? And people. Okay. And people. So when we said that I will give, so it's not perfect, it's not done yet. He's saying that I will give. I will give. Not so it's not perfect, it hasn't happened. I will give Adam in place of you. I will give people. Peoples. They got people, right? I will give peoples for you instead for your life. For your nafshika. Nafesh and then ka is your life. Individual. So this is a promise that he says I'm going to do. Okay. I've gave you some things before. Remember, I'm forming and I'm creating according to verse number 1, and I loved you perfectly. And conjunction, and I will give. I will give Adam. And what does he mean by giving a man for you? Now, somebody might say that's Christ in the New Testament, right? What is Adam? What does Adam consist of? I'll break it down for you.
Dirt.
Yeah, dirt, but give me something. Give me the first. So this word, this aleph, it means in Hebrew, it means an ox. It means to be strong, right? Strong, it means strength. Okay. The aleph is the first letter and it means strong, like an ox. That's why in the ancient Hebrew it looks like this. The bull's head. Okay. The next one is Dom. And Dom, if you ever drank wine, it's called Dom Perignon. Dom means blood. So Adam is really strong blood because that's where his life is at. His life is in his what? His blood. So when Yah talks about giving Adam, he's giving flesh, but he's also giving blood because that's how life is obtained. So instead of your blood, I'm going to give their blood in place of your blood. And I'm going to take the blood of humankind and their blood too. I'm killing these people on your behalf like I did before. Because you have to be redeemed. And it won't be with money. Number 5 says, all tira. Again, he says it again. Don't be afraid for what? Itaka. I am Ani min Mizrak. I am with you from the east, and I will bring you. Avi Zarakai. I will bring you from the east, and I will. Okay. And the I again is the aleph. And the reason why it's will is because the position of the aleph is in front of this V right here, which means that it will future tense. That's why it's not perfect. It's imperfect, and it means it's what? Hefel means to cause. He's causing. When he says, I will cause you to be brought, okay? You haven't been brought yet. I will. That's why the aleph is in front of the word be. So if you look at right quick, it says Avi. Some people say that's your father. No, Avi means to bring, right? Depending on the spelling. Has the same pronunciation, but it comes from the word bo. To come in, to go in, okay? To come or to go, okay? To come in, to come, to go in, or to go, okay? That's what it means. So when he says that, and is used to translate it as to be brought. So it says, I will bring you, okay, your descendants. Zaraka, okay. Zara means seed and Ka means your individual. From the west, and gather you, right? I'm going to gather you from the west. And I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, don't hold them back, and bring my what? Havi, Hiphael. Hiphael means causative, and this IMP right here means an imperative. An imperative means a command. So they don't show this right now as him saying a command. But let me show you when he says a command, what he's saying, really saying. When he says bring, guess what he's putting? An exclamation mark. Bring, Bane, my sons. Bring my sons from afar off. Bring my sons. It's a command. That's what the command it's going to be given from the east and from the west, and my daughters. So does he have daughters too? Yes, he does. The Uvanothai, my daughters from the Makates, from the ends of the earth. Bring my sons and daughters from afar. Everyone called, who is called? Wanikra, okay? Excuse me, Hanikra. Hanikra, the root word here is kara, which means to proclaim and called. Okay, this is called a nifel, or they call it nafal. And a nafal means that it is a passive action. This is from the call stem, but it's passive, meaning that instead of Yah doing this, he's going to cause someone else to do it. Okay, he's going to cause someone else to do this. The people, the ones who are called by his name, they're incapable of bringing themselves back. Okay, so when he says the nifil participle, right, he's saying that he's going to cause the sons and daughters to come. The sons and daughters can't cause themselves to come back. He's the one who has to cause them to come back. They're passively. So there's two ways that a verb can be done. It can be done actively. Excuse me, I'm corrected, three ways. It can be active, like you're doing the action, or it can be passive. The action is being done on you, or being done on someone else. So for example, I can say, I ate. I actively ate something, right? If I passively, well, that's a bad example. Okay, I did an action. I turned the light on, right? I'm the one who did the action. Passively means that the light was turned on, but I'm not the one who, the light was turned on, okay? Not by me, but it caused itself to come on by itself, by someone else. So there's two ways it could be done. Something can be done actively where you're doing it from your perspective, and it can also be done from a passive perspective, meaning it was done, but it's not talking about you're the one doing it. It happened, but you're not the one who caused it to happen. I know it seems a little confusing because we're not really taught this, and we really don't go over this all the time. But there's two ways that can happen. You could do the action, or the action can happen on the thing itself. So in this case, the sons and the daughters are not the one actively doing it. They can't make themselves come back and cause themselves to come back. Someone else has to cause them to come back. That's how it's happening, okay? And then the third way is both of them at the same time, meaning you're causing the action to happen on yourself, which is called a reflexive action. Like, for example, if I ate some food, I could say I fed myself. I fed myself. That's reflexive. I fed myself. I did the action on myself. I dressed myself. That's called the hitpael. That's a reflexive action, meaning I actively did it and I'm the one receiving the action. Okay. Actively, I'm doing the action. Passively, I'm receiving the action. Okay. Is the sons and daughters actively bringing themselves back, or are they passively, the action happening upon them? The action is happening upon them. They're not doing it themselves. You see? And they're not the one causing it to happen. So as you can hear it, there's different ways on how things are being done. And because we don't read the grammar and we don't understand the language, we're getting confused. Because they said, who is called? ED. Perfect. This is not perfect. It's participle. Being called. Everyone being ing, calling, who is called. Everyone who is being called, not who is called. Done. Okay. And if you notice, this is in front of the word kara, right? They got another aspect here, which is the art, and that's called the definite article. So what is the definite article? The definite article is an arrow. So the H that you see right there is saying the people that I'm calling. Let me explain this to you. Everyone here that I'm talking about, everyone, call all, because that's what call means. It means all. All what? All, and I'm going to point the arrow to the one that I'm talking about. The one who is passively, okay, calling, who's being called, ing. calling, proclaiming my name, by my name, Bishmi. So everyone, not who is called. Okay. I hope you guys can see this. I'll do it again. Called means what? It means it's done. It's future tense. It's done. I mean, past tense, excuse me. It's completed. Who is called? So you would think someone who has his name on them. He's not saying that. This is a participle. He's saying everyone calling. Everyone calling my name. That's who he's going to come and get for himself. The ones that he loves is the ones that are calling on his name. Okay. You see what happens when you know the grammar? See, they said everyone called by my name. He's not saying that. He didn't say called. He said everyone that is calling on my name, not by, on my name. On. The bet is used to be on or with or in, okay? And Shemi is my name. Shimi, okay? Look what they said. They said for. Isn't that what they said? For my glory. This is a mistranslation. Somebody tell me why this is a mistranslation. Just look at the bottom part here and explain to me from what I've been teaching you so far, why is this a mistranslation? Why are they trying to get you to start thinking differently? Because that's how to get you. What are they missing here? What did they not, what is the question mark? What are they missing that they didn't mention? That's very critical. Huh? Hello? What is it?
The wa on the beginning should
Yes, 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 yes. You see it. They're missing the wa. Why did they not put the wa? Because they're trying to move you to say everyone who is called by my name for my glory. That is different than everyone who's calling on my name. And means I'm about to add to what I just said. These two phrases right here are connected through the wa, but the and is a conjunction. It means that he's going to add another thought to this. So it's supposed to literally stop here for this. This goes together. This all goes together. Then he says, and I'm making a connection with the word and. So when they put it in the phrase for us, they said, everyone who's called by my name for my glory. That's not what it says. It doesn't say that. It says all calling on my name. All calling on my name and for my glory. Listen to this. Let's finish, because we don't start a sentence off with and is a conjunction. He's letting you know, okay, all who are calling on my name, talking about my sons and daughters, whom what? Badrathi, the ones that I have created for my glory. Listen, and for my glory, let's look at it. And this should be and, because and is right there. And for my glory, created and formed him. Do you get it? It's he's not saying, look how they put it. Everyone who's called by my name for my glory. He didn't say that. He said all calling on my name. all calling on my name, and for my glory, I have formed him. I've created perfectly and formed him. And it's perfect. So let me ask you a question. Praise the Holy One of Israel. What did we start this lesson off with when we start beginning to read Isaiah chapter number 43? What were the two participles? At the top, verse number 1, I think.
Forming and creating.
Thank you. So what we see here is what now? We see the result of Yah. So when will they be created, and when will they be? They started off with been forming and creating. Now he uses the same words, and now he puts them in a perfect tense. First they were in the present tense, meaning I'm doing it, and participle form, and now he's finishing off with saying that what? They're perfect now. How did they get perfect? When did they? Because this is true now. You guys see at the beginning they said, and I'll go there right quick. At the beginning of this, they said, what does it say right there? It just told us in the beginning of this chapter that I am participling, I am forming you, I'm creating you. Right here. They said created. It's not, it's creating. It's not formed, it's forming, it's participling. Okay. It's not perfect. So he's talking to who? Yaakov, and he's talking to Israel, right? And so he's saying, I'm forming you and I'm creating you, right? I'm not done. I'm not done. I've started it, but I'm not done. When will they be perfect? When will they be perfect? They'll be perfect in verse number 7. Okay. That's when they're going. 6 begins the process of being brought back to Yah. Bring my sons and my daughters from afar off, from all the places on the ends of the earth. Once they get there, verse number 7, everyone calling my name. Everyone calling on my name. Bring them to me. And for my glory, whom I created and formed him, yes, I made him perfectly. So the process of Yah is you have to be brought back, and then you'll be perfect. You have to, and then for his glory, okay, you will be formed and you will be created perfectly, and you will be made perfectly when you get back home. Does anyone have any questions? Did you see that? It started off with, I'm not done with you. And then he says, well, this is what is going to happen. I'm going to give lives for you. I'm going to ransom you. I'm going to give the blood of man and the blood of peoples. Then I'm going to bring you back. And then everyone calling upon my name and for my glory, whom I created and have formed. Yes, I have made him. All that is done in the what? The perfect tense. It's perfect. So it starts it off with being participling, and it ends in perfection. And the only way that it became this was the process of people's lives being taken and people being, the children, his sons and daughters being brought back to him. You guys see that? You guys see that? Yes or no? Do you have any questions on it?
It's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that, you know, we talked about misleading earlier on. It seems to me that human beings have a need to want to have guarantees in their life.
Yeah.
And that is what that's where the misleading comes in, because people have realized, hey, people want guarantees, we'll give them guarantees by telling them
Yeah.
that things are guaranteed through a person that will sacrifice for them, supposedly.
Correct. So what we're noticing and what we're seeing from the grammar, that there is a process. So when Yah says that I'm doing this, I'm forming and I'm creating, and he says, you know, at that moment, and then he says, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then he ends it with saying, whom I created, informed, and made for myself. The perfection comes for those who at the end of the journey have been able to call on Yah's name, or calling on his name. And then it says, not for my glory, who call by name, call by my name for my glory. And if you notice, again, another little hint here is you got to watch this stuff. They put a capital "my" on there, you know, to add emphasis to, you know, greatness, right? There is no greatness within the capitalization of that. The greatness is in his name itself, which is Yohe Wahe, right? So you got to watch the translations and the translators, because they have an agenda. They have an agenda. Okay. So when you see capitalization, right, you thought, oh, that's God, right? That's Elohim. And then you see Savior. Oh, that's Christ. Christ is a Savior. So he must be God. See? Because that's where our brains take us, right? And we don't read the text in its form of all the different verb types it has in it. We don't even look at that. We just read, and based on our own information, our own upbringing, it can lead you. That's why there's so many different opinions. And that's why there's so many different teachings, because no one really understands how it's being spoken and who is being said to. This is what you have to do when you study the Torah. You have to go line upon line upon line. You have to break it down, because we don't understand. We literally don't understand. Now, if everyone wants to be honest, how many of you guys understood this before today? How many of you guys? Does anyone knew this? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know it.
I did not.
I didn't know it. And guess when I found out? Today. To make the connection, we made the connection between what the process is from going. So when he talks about I'm forming you and I'm creating you, you have to go through a process. The process ended in chapter numbers, the same chapter, but verse number 6 and 7 tells you, he says, then all who have called who are calling upon my name at that time, whom I created, right? And for my glory, not for my glory, and for my glory. I created and formed and made. So why did he create us, and why did he form us, and why did he make us? Why? It's right here. For my glory. That's why. That's why Israel was formed. That's why Israel was created. That's why Israel was made. That's why he's going through a process. It's not for our glory. It's only for his. That's why it says, ulik bo, or lik vo de. Walik vo de. Levik vo de. Walik vo de. Okay? So glory for his, and we found out what kavod is. It's for his glory. It's for his kavod. It's his. Remember, we looked at kavod earlier and said honor. He said, did he not say I honored you? Did he not say that I honored you? Glorious, same word. Kavod and the one we saw, kavad, is the same. It has the same root. Kavod and kavad has the same root. He did it. He created Israel for his glory. That's why. For the weight and the glory of Yahweh. And look, it's going to tell you It comes from what? From the root word right here, kavod, like we went over. The weight, figuratively, in a good sense, splendor, copiousness, weightiness, honor, and okay. So it comes from the same word. So what is Yah sharing with us today? What is he saying? What is he saying in these few verses that we've learned today? What is he saying? Let's read it again, and let's read it in English so we'll find out if we see it differently. But now this is what Yahweh says. He who has created you. So they just did something that we know that is not true. This is ing. He's creating. Let's just change it. Let's put it in its proper text, okay? So we can see. So when we read it, we'll know. You tell me if I'm doing it right. Look how it changes the meaning, okay? Don't be afraid. I have redeemed you, which is true. This is true. He said redeem. We saw that. I'm calling you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the water, I'll be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they won't overwhelm you, okay? I'm the one, he who is creating you, Yaakov, he who is forming you, Israel. It's different, okay? It's completely different. When you walk through fire, you will not be scorched, okay? The flame will not burn you. For I'm Yahweh, your Elohim, the Holy One of Israel. Your what? Is this correct? Is this correct? Tell me what's wrong with this.
No.
It's not right. This should be a small s, and it's a verb. It's not a noun. Okay? So let's change it. Let's make it right. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of this and put the right word in there. I'm saving you. I'm going to deliver. I'm delivering. Okay, well, let's even put save because it didn't say that. I'm delivering you. Okay, because that's what Yasha means. I'm delivering, right? Delivering. Okay. I'm delivering because that's the verb. I'm delivering. Forgive my handwriting. Okay. I'm delivering. And in Hebrew, I'm delivering you. Okay. It didn't say your. I'm delivering you. Okay. I have given to Tain, right? Well, when we know it's a eh, that's the aleph. I have etain. We found that out. That in as your ransom. That's true. That's a noun. Ethiopian saver for you. Correct. That's good. So I'm delivering you. What else do we have? Then we says, because I regard you as value. He says, I see you as value and honored. That word right there, and honor and value and preciousness is here is what? Is your Hebrew word of the day? How do you say honor in Hebrew? You guys know how to say it? It starts with a K. Kavod. Okay, or kavod or kavod, doesn't matter how you say it. Okay. Kavod meaning to be weighty. And because I love you. Ahavati, right? Ahavti. For I will give, right? I will give people and nations in exchange for your life. So this doesn't mean people. He says, I will give people, nations. It really should be reversed. It really should say Adam, which is blood, okay, and peoples, okay, nations. Okay, that's the way they wanted to do it. All right. But it has a meaning of blood because that's what Adam means, okay, in exchange for your life, instead of your life, not in exchange, but yeah, instead. That's it's all right for your life, okay. Don't be afraid, which is right. Tira, for I am with you. Okay, Itaka, I'm with you, and I will bring your descendants from these. Okay, which we know that he said I will, which is future tense, and we know that this particular verb, when you say I will bring, you and I would think that he's bringing us, right? Which he is, but he's doing it in what kind of way? He's doing it Hiphael way. He's going to cause us to be brought. So yeah, he's bringing us, but he's causing it, okay, through this verb called a hifil, 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 okay? That's the name of that verb. It's a causative verb. So you can see, is he just bringing us, or is he causing this to happen, or is he, who's doing it? He's doing it, but he's causing it to happen. So this puts your mind around the idea that Yah himself is behind the actions that are going to happen, okay? He's causing this to happen. Remember, he said, I'm forming you, I'm creating you, not I've created and I formed. I'm doing it right now. So by the creation is when you asked earlier, I think, kid, you said, well, how do we know what he's doing? Because he's moving different people. He's moving different situations. He's bringing different countries against each other. He's doing all kind of stuff. He's making the environment change. Everything is calculated by Yah. So he says, I'm causing your descendants to come from the east, right? And I will gather, and that word I will again is a Hiphael from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, don't hold them back. Bring my sons from afar, which is true, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. You see that? So he's going to cause the north and the south and the east and the west from all four corners of the world to tell them what to do, and all the actions that are taking place are going to cause them to execute what he's saying. Because he said, I'll say to the north, give them up. That is a command. Remember I said it was an imperative? That, look, you see that exclamation? It is a command. Don't hold them back. It is a command. The exclamation mark means it is a imperative. It is a command. So when he speaks and causes it to happen, people are going to move, because that's who he's talking to. He's talking to the north, he's talking to the south, he's talking to the east, and he's talking to the west. And he tells them, bring. Remember I told you that was an imperative? That's an imperative. They didn't even put that there. It's an imperative. That is, bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Bring them, all of them. Everyone who, what? They say, who bears my name. That is an incorrect interpretation. According to what we read and we studied, it's not talking about who bears my name. It's everyone who's calling on my name, who has been caused to calling on my name. It's a passive action. Okay. It's not something, right? So it's a verb. It's not a noun. It's not like I'm putting my name on you, like they're trying to make us believe. If you read this, everyone who bears my name, well, how are they bearing his name? Bearing a name means like a label on a pair of pants or a shirt or something like that. It's not talking like that. He's not saying that those who just bear my name. He's saying those who are calling, ing, because that is a participle. It's an ing. And it's not bearing, it's calling, because it's kara, proclaiming my name, whom I created for my glory. Right? Is this right? No. Stops right here and means and. For my glory. And for my glory, I formed, correct? Yes, I have made. They're missing something. They put it in the wrong text. They put the created before and for my glory. If you notice that, they switched it around. It should have been for my glory, I have created. For my glory, I have formed. For my glory, I have made. That's how it should read. But in English, they switched it around.
So you're basically saying that in the translation, this is the way that they can make things say different things.
Yes.
And try to, I mean, you know, when you're writing a script or writing a book or whatever you're doing, words are so important. And by changing the sentence structure, putting things in different places, you can totally change the meaning of what you're reading. I just find this absolutely
amazing.
I know it's here. I've known it for a long time, but what you're talking about today is like, just, oh my gosh, I can't. And I guess that's probably what I've been wondering about for years is where all this has been changed, and now I see it.
Yeah, it's so simple that it's scary, because you and I would think, well, they wouldn't mean to do us any harm. Surely they would put everything in its proper translation and text. And as you said, like you said, some writers change different words to give more impact on the story that they're telling, or they might put a scene somewhere else in order to drive you to that point. So we're a creation that operates off of words. Like, our words control everything. They control the Congress, they control the Senate, they control lawyers, they can, in laws, diet, everything on how we communicate is based on words. So, and how they're arranged, it can move you in different direction. That's why they use songs with words. They use songs and poems. It can move you. It's emotional. So there's emotional content here that a lot of times we don't get a chance to look at, because number one, we're lazy. We don't want to go through the process of saying, wait a minute, I could possibly be wrong. I need to look at what he's saying. There's 7 different verb stems to tell you there's 7 different ways that it can be done. There's 8 different types of conjugations on, and what setting is it? Is it a cohortive? Is it adjussive? Is it an imperative? Is it a command? What is it? Is it an absolute? What construct is it in? So we don't understand the construction of language. So if you understood the construction, you understood how things work, then you would understand how things are supposed to be said and why they say it the way that they say it. So everything that they're saying right here is very subtle. You just go right past. You'd be like, oh, everyone who bears my name. Oh, I bear his name. Oh, that's wonderful. I got his name on me. So guess what? I was created for his glory. That's not true. It's not everyone who bears his name. It's everyone who's calling on his name. All because you have his name, okay, like they want to say, well, I'm Israel. Well, okay, a lot of Israel is going to die because they don't fear him and they don't understand what he's saying. And that's why it's in second person, masculine singular, because the individual that is responsible is the one who's calling upon his name. There's plenty of people who've called upon Yah's name that he's destroying. He said, you have my name. You speak my name. You talk about my laws, but you're wicked. You're a wicked group of people. You proclaim that you know me, but I'm going to destroy you. So the Elohim that you and I are dealing with is not the one that they're trying to get you to fall in love with. They soften the message because the soft message has to go with the soft gospel. The mighty one of Elohim, Yahweh, is speaking. I'm summoning the world from the east to the west, just like we just read. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, Elohim is shining forth. Can I trust this? Our Elohim is coming and not staying silent, with a devouring fire ahead of him and a great storm raging around him. That's the summoning. So if you want to talk about when he asked him, don't hold back, and I'm going to cause it, this is what it's going to be. I'm summoning the world. I'm calling the world. I'm telling you what's going on. Out of Zion, perfection of beauty, Elohim is shining forth. Okay. Our Elohim is coming and not staying silent. He's not going to stay silent, with a fire devouring ahead of him and a great storm raging around him. And he calls to the heavens above and to the earth in order to judge his people. Do you understand when it says he's calling to the heavens above and the earth in order to judge his people? He's employing them, the heavens and the earth, because they're going to be actively participating in the judgment of his people. Why is he calling on them? Because they are the witnesses to what Israel has been doing on the earth. There are the two witnesses that Moshe told them in Deuteronomy 32, I call on the heavens and the earth to witness against you. They are going to actively, and by them responding, when Yah comes, he's coming with fire and a storm that's coming out of the heavens that will hit the earth. And what does he tell them? Gather to me, my faithful, the ones who've been calling upon his name, those who made a covenant with me by sacrifice, not through Yeshua, not through a savior, but the ones who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. The heavens, not where you think people go when they die. The sky above will proclaim his righteousness. How is the heavens going to proclaim this? How are they going to call out to let us know that Yah is righteous? Somebody tell me, what is the heavens going to say? And how do they speak?
So the heaven with fire and brimstone and
Thunder, lightning,
and
whirlwind,
strong wind.
storm, dark clouds, hailstorm. Do you understand? Yah says, I preserve those things for the day of judgment. Right there in the book of Job. For Elohim himself is judge. Selah here doesn't mean pause like they told us in the religious circles. It means give him praise. Pause to give praise. Hallelujah. Wah. Listen, my people. I am speaking, Israel. I am testifying against you. Not for you, against you. I, Elohim, your Elohim. That's why I'm coming. When I'm talking about judging you, I'm coming to judge you for the things that I'm testifying against, the things that I witnessed, because I have the two individuals, the two entities that told me that you have been living wrongly, which is the heavens and the earth. The sky that you've been calling upon, and you looking up in the sky and you're calling out to the sun god, and you've been worshiping the moon and the stars and the sun, and those things on the earth you've been worshiping, they're going to testify against you. I am not rebuking you for your sacrifices. So when some Christian comes and tells you that he didn't like the sacrifices, they're lying. Because your burnt offerings are always before me. Always. They're not going anywhere. I have no need for a bull from your farm or a male goat from your pens. For all the forest creatures are already mine. They're mine already, as are the animals on 1,000 hills. This is not about sacrifices. I know all the birds in the mountains and whatever moves in the fields is mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you. For the world is mine and everything in it. Just like I told you in Exodus 19, that the whole entire world is mine and everything in it. Do I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? No. Offer thanksgiving as your sacrifice to Elohim and pay your vows to the Most High. If you said something that you wanted to vow to Yah, you better be able to keep it. You can't vow something that's not in your possession. Go to chapter number 27 of the Torah portion this week, and you will find that he said, if you bring a vow to me, if it's a male and he's from the ages of 20 to 60, you got to give me 50 shekels of silver. If you want to vow your house to me, you have to have a priest to come out and do an appraisal for it and give me the value of it, and you get it. If you want to redeem it, you got to give me 20%. If you want to do an animal, then it has to be this. If you want to give me another animal in place of it, both of them become holy and you can't redeem it. There's rules and procedures, chapter number 27. But the bottom line is, you can't give me something that's not in your possession. You got to give me what you have. And if you want to vow anything to me, you better have it in your possession. You want to vow your mind to me? You want to vow your heart to me? Then vow it. If you want to vow your time to me, then vow it, because that's what you have control over. Do not talk to me about something that you don't have in your possession to give to me, like I'm some man that you're playing a game with. I am the Holy One of Israel. And if you say you're going to do something, then do it. Pay your vows. And call on me when you're in trouble, and I will deliver you. And you will honor me. Kavod. Well, I got news for you. But to the wicked, Elohim says, what does he say to the wicked? What right do you have to proclaim my laws and take my covenant on your lips? The wicked is doing this. They're proclaiming Yah's laws. Or if they keep the Torah, doesn't make them righteous. You can proclaim the laws of Yah and take his covenant on your lips, and you're still wicked. Why? You're wicked because you hate to receive instruction, and you fling my words behind you. You do a lot of talk. You can say all the right things to say, like honor the Shabbat, but every time I turn around, you're at a gas station buying gas. You could do a lot of talk about honoring the Shabbat, and every time I turn around, you got an excuse on why you didn't prepare your meal before the Shabbat. So you go out and eat while other people are working and breaking my Shabbat. You talk about how much you love me, but you won't investigate the ingredients on the food that you buy. You won't even take the time to look at it. You receive it. You take everything. But you hate what I tell you to do because you don't do it. When you see a thief, you join up with them. You have friends that violate Yah's laws and you go along with them. They're still your friend. When you throw your lot in with adulterers, meaning they start talking about why I cheated on my husband or my wife, you give in and say, I understand. I understand why you did that. You know, things happen, you know, we just need to pray. No, you threw in your lot with them. You made an agreement with them and didn't let it go. And you didn't say what thus saith Yahweh. Because you don't want to judge anybody. You give your mouth free rein for evil, and you harness your tongue to deceit. And deceit doesn't necessarily mean just out blatantly lying. Deceit means that you have given your tongue to, number one, to hold back information. You've been manipulative. You say things just to move other people in another direction. You don't really say the way it is. You sit and you speak, talking about our mouth again, against your own kinsmen, your family members. When Yah just told us in the Torah portion today, do not treat anybody harshly. I don't care if you don't like them. They're my people. I don't care if you got a disagreement with them. They're my people. They're my slaves. I don't care how dumb they are. I don't care how blind they are. I don't care how sick they are. I don't care how messed up they are. They're still my people. My people are wounded. My people are bleeding. My people are sick. My people are blind. My people are deaf. My people are destroyed. And yet you still want to treat them harshly. You have taken my laws and my covenant upon your lips, but I told you not to treat them that way. I don't care how silly they are to you. I don't care what stupid outfits they wear and proclaim. That's my people. I am their judge, not you, Israel. You slander your own mother's son. You think I'm going to let you do that? You say that I'm your Elohim, but yet you slander people? I'm your Elohim, but you hang out with adulterers? I'm your Elohim, but you agree with thieves? When you do such things, should I stay silent? Why is he telling us that he's talking about staying silent? Because he told us here in the verse number 1, I am coming, I am speaking, I am summoning the world. I'm coming. Elohim is coming, and he's not going to stay silent. I'm not staying silent. I am going to judge you with the devouring fire. Somebody told you that I'm coming in the cloud and I'm not doing anything to you? You're mistaken. I am the Holy One of Israel. I am the King of the universe, and you will be holy. Do you really believe that I'm going to stay silent when you do such things? You may have thought in your mind, because that's where thoughts come from, that I was just like you. Like we got some kind of agreement together. Like me and you are friends. Like I understand you and you understand me. Like I'm not a king. And me and you are both, you're a special people to me. So that gives you the right to be like other people. Like you may think that you're like holy. You thought I was like you. But I will rebuke and indict you to your face. Consider this. You who forget Elohim, or I will tear you to pieces with no one to save you. Whoever offers thanksgiving as his sacrifice honors me. And to him who goes the right way, I will show the salvation of Elohim. You want to be saved? Then you better go the right way. Then I will show you. I'm not going to show you salvation and you've been going in the wrong way like Christianity. You better be going the right way. And the right way is get rid of the thief, get rid of the adulterer, get rid of the stuff that's coming out your mouth, get rid of the harshness that you're treating people, get rid of those things. Then I'll show you. But you can't make an offering to Yahweh with thanksgiving and then you go around and you do that which is not pleasing to him. Listen, Israel, everyone on this channel right now is Israel. Our Elohim is not a man. He is not going to play games. When he comes back, he's coming to judge the world for everything that they have done. I'm not coming to make friends. I'm not coming to sit back and talk to you and try to reason with you. I'm not coming for that. I'm only coming to judge. I'm only coming to judge. That's it. I'm not coming for any other reason. There's no other reason for me to show up. Instead, okay, I'm not coming so, you will then decide, like we've been taught, oh, well, you can do what you want to do because we're in the 6th day. And then in the 7th day, then that's when you can't do it. So you can violate the Shabbat today while we're in this time, this in particular dispensation. There is no dispensation. That stuff is taught by some Christian apologist called John Darby. For look, Yahweh will come in fire. His chariots will be like a whirlwind to render his anger furiously, his rebuke with a blazing fire. For Yahweh will judge all humanity with fire and with a sword, and those slain by Yahweh will be many. He's not playing with us. They're not want to tell you this. They want to play games and make you go into this religious frenzy of saying, well, you know, I keep the Torah, so I'm fine. Oh, you better be very clear about having a whole heart. You better understand that if you're deceived, it's because you want to be deceived. That's why you're deceived, because you choose to be deceived. Otherwise, y'all wouldn't give us an opportunity to say you could choose. You could choose to do right. You could choose to do wrong. I don't want anybody wicked to die. I'm not coming because that's what I want. I don't want the wicked to die. I've spoken to the wicked over and over and over again. But it doesn't matter how many times I talk to him or her. It doesn't matter. What do you mean? It doesn't matter how many times you talk to the wicked. Are you sure about that, Dawid? Are you sure? I'm positive. I'm super duper positive. Listen what Yah says. The way of the righteous is level. Righteous one, you smooth the path of the righteous. Following your way of judgments, we put our hope in you. The desire of our soul is to remember you and your name. My desire, my soul desires you at night. My spirit in me seeks you at dawn. For when your judgments are here on earth, the people in the world learn what righteousness is. Even if pity is shown to the wicked, he still doesn't learn what righteousness is. In a land of uprightness, he will still act wrongly and fail to see the majesty of Yahweh. Did you hear what he said? Even if pity is shown to these so-called wicked people, he still doesn't learn what righteousness is. And in a land of uprightness, he will still act wrongly and fail to see the majesty of Yahweh. So does it mean that you have the 6th day to live in and do what you want? And then when he comes and gathers you in the dispensation of the 7th day, then you can turn away from your wickedness? Or does it mean that if he took you, he's not bringing anybody into the land that is wicked? That's what he says. Don't buy into this religious behavior of you got time. You do not have any time. Your time is today. The day that you hear his voice, don't harden your heart. If you lived a way that was wickedly, which we all have, you can see that in Daniel chapter number 9. He calls himself wicked. He was beloved by Yah, but he says we've acted wickedly. Me and all of our people. Nehemiah said the same thing in their prayer. Daniel chapter 9, Nehemiah chapter 9. Read those 2 prayers and you'll find out that Yah says you've acted wickedly. You go to 2 Chronicles chapter number 6, verse number 36. Shalomo says that you guys have acted wickedly and done wrongly. So I don't get this whole thing about us not accepting that we've been wicked. The only way that you can come out of your wickedness is accepting what Yah says to turn you back to righteousness. There's only 2 types of people on the earth. It's the righteous and the wicked. That's where all the Psalms are written about. They're not written about the in-betweeners. It's always about the righteous and the wicked. The righteous are the ones who follow what Yah says. The righteous is the one who serves Yah and does his judgments, which is the laws, the statutes, and the kukims, and the mishpatim, and the moedims, the appointed times, the festivals, the Shabbats. It's simple. But you got people out here that are giving you time. And when they give you this time, you begin to relax on things. You begin to tell people, you know, I understand. Yah says to Ezekiel, go tell these people, if I told the wicked person you're going to die, then that wicked person's going to die. You go tell them what I said. Not because I want to kill them, it's because I'm trying not to destroy them. So by us not saying that a person is wicked, we're being wicked. You're wicked if you can't stand up for righteousness. You're wicked because you don't care enough about that person so they can make a decision. If you told them, he says, after you tell them, Ezekiel, if they don't listen to you, fine. But if I told you and you did not go tell them, I'm holding you responsible for their lives because you didn't warn them for me. That's your call, Israel. You are to warn the wicked. And they're not on Halloween. The wicked is anyone, any person that doesn't keep the Torah. David, are you serious? Are you telling me this? If you warned them, you warned them. But if you did not warn them, you should warn them. You should warn them. How do you know that? Proverbs chapter 28, verse number 4. Those who abandon the Torah praise the wicked, but those who keep the Torah fight them. Evil people don't understand justice, but those who seek Yahweh understand everything. It's better to be poor and live an honest life than to be crooked in one's ways, though rich. A wise son observes Torah, but a friend of those lacking restraint shames his father. He who increases his wealth by charging exorbitant interest amasses it for someone who will bestow it on the poor. If a person will not listen to Torah, even his prayers is an abomination. Kept you a little longer today. I had to get that off. I had to tell you. This is a call and responsibility. Someone comes across your path, not you go out to them. They come across your path. They run up on your path that you're on and say something like, hey, da 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 da, I'm doing this or this and that. You tell them, because you're already on a different path. That's what we started this conversation off about, us being on another path. Don't leave the path of righteousness to go find the wicked. I'm not saying that. There is no ministry here. This is not a ministry. This is not an evangelistic ministry. Your job and my job is to stay on the path of righteousness, because Yah made it smooth for us. He made it level. Okay? Don't leave the path. But if someone crosses your path, you tell them what Yahweh says. That's what your job is. They want to listen, they can. They don't, so be it. You warned them. That's it. That's it. I know it's a strong message, but guess what? We better wake up and we better understand that the people that we allow in our lives that are telling us stuff and trying to, get us to believe what they're talking about, we better stop believing what other people are talking about, and we better start researching this for ourselves. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech ha'olam, the Yassar order, the overrated Koshek Osei Shalom, overrated Takal. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim. You're the King of the world. He's forming the light and he's creating darkness, and he's making peace and he's creating all things. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And in Hebrew, if you notice, it says forming, ing, participle, creating, ing, participle, and creating, participle. All is continually, God, you understand? Yah is literally doing all these things. He's doing it. He is Uvare. He's creating all things. Whether it is good or whether it's not so good, whether it's functional or not, Yah is doing all things. Praise the Holy One of Israel. Any contributions, additions, subtractions, questions, statements?
I have a question. Or
Yes.
in regards to two verbs you taught us last Shabbat and today.
Yes.
I thought they meant the same meaning, but I don't know when to use it. It's a burden, masa, and then today you said I don't know if I'm saying it right. Kaba.
Kavad.
Yeah, so that's also burden and also masa. So
Well,
I'm not.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Kavad. Okay, is okay. Kavad has to do with that which is means that it's heavy. Okay. So
Okay, not a burdensome, but heavy.
it doesn't mean burden. It means it's heavy. It means weight,
Okay.
very weighty. So when your father used to speak to you, he says, when your father talks to you, your mother talks to you, don't just cast their words off like they're not, like they're, they don't mean anything. Something like, when you get gold or something, everything is based on weight, right? So the more weight you have in gold, the wealthier you are, right? So Yah is saying, when you talk about weight and talk about glory, the scales are literally they're tilted, they're heavy. You know what I'm saying? So that's the idea. The function of kavod is it's heavy. It's not a burden, because gold is not a burden, but yet it's kavod, right? It's not a burden. It's a burden from having how much weight it might present to you to carry it, right? But itself is not the burden. It's the idea of what you have to hold. The masa is a burden. Okay, the masa is a burden. So the burden is masa, but the weight of it is kavod. Okay. Masa is a burden. It's burden. Well, burden has a few different meanings, right? So that which is carried, basically, right? That which is carried. And nasa is to carry it, to lift it. So nasa is to lift, and to carry what? Carry the burden. So when Yah in the Hebrew, Yah calls a prophecy a burden, a masa. In the book of Malachi, he calls it a burden, which means that it's heavy. It's something that needs to, that you gotta bring. I'm gonna put this like I'm gonna bring this to you, and when you get there, I want you to unrelease it. I want you to tell it. I want you to show the weight of it. Like, I'm really telling you what it is. Okay. So kavod has to do with weight, weight and heaviness, weight. And that could be light, or it could be, you could have high glory, or you can have low glory. It's the weight of it. Okay. So the weight, the heaviness of it, the lightness of it, it's a weight. Okay. So when we talk about glorious, when we talk about Yah's glory, it's a kavod, his glory. How weighty is he? How much is this? Can we bear this? If he was to put this on us, will we be able to hold it? It's incomprehensible, but in terms from a human perspective, the kavod and the kavad is different. It functions a little bit different. I mean, it's related though. I wouldn't say that they're not, because they're related. Masa, nasa, kavad, it's all related. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
It did. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Daweed, this is a message that I really needed to hear today. Thank you for being a messenger that brings the truth. Thank you. And Shabbat Shalom to all my brothers and sisters.
Praise the Holy One of Israel, Stan. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, if no one else, I just want to say that I truly love you, each and every last one of you. I want you to enjoy your day today. This is a wonderful Shabbat. And, I know it's very strong You know, it's a strong word. And when the Most High has me teaching, I just have to tell it the way it is, because, and I'm not apologizing, I'm just telling you the way it is. I just don't want us to be deceived. And the way that we're getting deceived is by the language, because they'll move us in a different direction. And then we're so quick to accept it. We're like, okay, well, I read it, so I'm good. That's not what Yah wants us to understand. He wants us to understand the process of what he's doing. Yeah. And if we know where we are in the process, well, where do we know? Well, we know that he says that I will be the one who cause you to come back. I will cause, and I'm going to make demands upon the peoples, and they're going to be the ones who are going to make this happen. Like I did with Moshe, I sent him, and I'm going to send Elijah before this great and terrible day. But they're going to do this, but they have to see something first. They have to see something first, because you remember they didn't let you go out of Mitzrayim until they saw something. So I have to show the world. Stan, I think you touched on it a few weeks ago, where you said, well, Dawid, what do you think how Yah's gonna, is he gonna warn these people? And the answer to that is no. He doesn't give warning on judgment. He warns the wicked to turn, but he never tells you the day of judgment. He never tells you that day. That's why he says there's coming a day. So he's warning, he's giving warnings, but he's not telling us the day of judgment, where you got to appear before judgment. So the judgment of Yah is coming to the earth. Okay. And he has to judge the world for all humanity for everything it's done, in order to put the world back into the place it needs to be. So there has to be a burning and a cleansing away of all the transgressions. And therefore, after he burns up a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of people are slain and die, then they will decide that they want to follow Yah's ways. Okay. It's not because, he's just bringing Israel out and saying, oh, wonderful, we brought Israel out. No, it's not because of that. That doesn't impact anybody. The world is still in a wicked place right now. Okay. Even though with Torah followers and observance and people praying all the time, the world is still in a very, very wicked place. There's still a lot of violence. There's still a lot of killings, a lot of rape, a lot of murder, a lot of adultery, a lot of homosexuality, transgender, a lot of theft, a lot of political theft, a lot of leaders who are liars. Everything. There's no judgment on the earth. And he says the world will not learn what righteousness is until your judgments are here on the earth. And Yah himself is going to bring judgment on the whole entire earth. And then when they get the judgment, then they're going to make up their minds to say, you know what, we've had enough. We want to follow you now, because we saw that you're not joking. You're not playing with us. So you're the Elohim, you're the creator, and we're human beings. So now we know our place. You're right. You are not like us. Matter of fact, you told us that we inherited lies. We're here to say we inherited lies. They lied to us, and the translations were wrong. That's what they're going to say. It's in Jeremiah chapter number 16, 19. You're going to find out that you've been lied to. And that you're not like us, and that you're not a man, and that you kill people for eating pork. We didn't know that. Woo! Somebody that cheated somebody out of their wages, you killing them too. Yeah, Book of Malachi. I'm bringing judgment. You guys think I'm coming to make friends? I'm coming to bring war. I'm an Elohim of war. And I'm a king of the universe. So get used to it, because that's the way it's going to be. Praise the Holy One of Israel, everyone. I love you guys, and I'll see you, on next Shabbat. If you want to, you can attend the classes that we have during the week, which is on Tuesdays at 7:00 and Thursdays on 7:00 for my class. Or if you like to attend Rivka's class, she's on Wednesdays from 7 to 8:30 or so. And I'm going over the Hebrew language. I'm going over things that Yah's talking about, subject matters. People bring stuff up, we deal with it, so it can bring us into a lifestyle of understanding, wisdom, and knowledge, and teaches us how to live and how to treat each other. And we're doing a fantastic job of that. So I don't want anyone to feel bad, because it's not about, if you notice, today's teaching wasn't really just about us. It was really truly about who he is and what his expectations are of his people. So if we claim to be his people, then we should do what he says, period. All right. Much love and appreciation. Shabbat shalom to you. And I will see you guys soon. Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.